For the bevels, I start by combing all the hair down and going around the shave line with a 40 blade setting on a 5-in-1 clipper. Same thing in the front, so comb everything down. Using that shave line as reference, I will go ahead and clip off anything that's going past there. And you can see how it starts the bevel. Now I take a comb and a curved scissor, comb everything to one side, and scissor up into the leg to give more stability and structure to your bevel. Same thing on the other side. Then I set down the foot and have the dog's weight on it when I correct the front, and pick up the back while standing behind and windshield wiper scissor across. Now you can see when it's sitting down, you've got a nice high perky bevel and cuff. Now I'm showing you how I do a very, very short body while still being able to maintain longer legs to balance out the trim. So you can see underneath I use the same blade but in reverse to keep it nice and tight. Now up by the neckline, going right off that shave and above the shoulder muscle. And now I'm feeling up at the withers to make sure that I don't pinch the neck, but we want to come right off of that muscle and that shoulder area so that it's nice and smooth at the end. Now in the rear, I used a 5F going down to where the dog's leg bends. You can see there. Now comb everything up and continue to make that swoopy shape towards the rear. You remember, you don't want really super tall hocks, which is a mistake I see a lot of people make when they're trying to leave hawk hair. Now I'm using kind of an odd technique where I go from a longer guard to a shorter guard. This is how I'm able to keep longer legs on short bodies, because I can do it very easily with a 1/2-inch guard, but it is challenging when you're doing such a short length. You can see this is very short. So I work back to the shortest area, staying close to my transition area. That way I can just work on getting rid of that line with my clippers and minimizing the amount of work I need to do with my scissors. So yes, just working back to a shorter blade length and a shorter guard length so that I can blend away this line and just keep working towards that finished product. Now taking a 6F here will get rid of that line finally and really lengthen the neck by shortening the top line so much. Now here's the upper arm return. That's from the point of shoulder into where the dog's leg starts going straight down. And we want to accentuate that angle as much as we can, but quickly. So I use a 2 guard right there in the upper arm return. And now I've switched back to a 1 guard, the orange colored guard, so that I can, again, not pinch the elbow, but just make sure to tidy up the leg and know where it's dropping from. So this is a 6F again, blending out those final bits of lines and minimizing your scissor work. I comb and brush up the hair on the prosternum that I've left and use a yellow guard, which will leave just a little bit of chest length, which is plenty. This is a comb at the sphincter technique, which just tells you where to shave the base of the tail. And then you go straight down into the dog's body, and using that as a reference, you can make a little V. So lay your scissor on the V and scissor off that transition hair so that you've got a nice clean line there. And now, because of where you've clipped and where you've scissored the top, you can start rounding up from underneath to give yourself just a little bit of a booty without giving yourself way too much, which is also another problem that I see happen a lot. So you want to pick up that butt and give it a nice shape. Here, you just have the dog sit down and use a orange guard to clip down that hair in between the legs so it's nice and gone. And now I'm just going to kind of show you how I get down my front legs from a few different angles, because especially in this instance where she had palms before and she's been kind of eating at herself, it's not the best hair, and I'm just combing up and scissoring down. So I've got my curved scissor parallel to the table so that I can just kind of work around a column and get that bare bones shape. And then I'll switch over to a straight and kind of work the coat straight back up again. See, and then I'll start switching back from like a thinner and a chunker, just doing my best to work with those hairs that are, very old and haven't been scissored in a long time versus, that cuff hair that's, been hanging there for a long time. Now, another angle, just dragging everything up and continuing to scissor that column shape. Because I've done such, tidy work on the shoulder, it's really easy to see where the dog's leg drops from. Now you need to scissor the rear. I always start with the inside of the leg, and I always have a lot to take off at the thigh and a little at the hock, but that area in between doesn't seem to ever grow quite as much. But you just want to get a A-frame. So now combing up the hair from the rear. I only do this to mark where the leg should be, but you will see I move towards the front of the dog to get a better finish. Combing up the hair from on top of the hock and continuing that swoopy shape down towards the hock and bringing that hair around. Combing everything out and forward using a straight scissor. Show that the leg has an upward motion and find your tuck up so that you can start connecting those little hairs in between and just giving the little bit of lift in front of the toe there. And the last thing I scissor is always that little line from the knee to the toe because it just barely gets tipped, but you want it to be nice and crisp. So I don't like to do it more than once. I would really like it to just be solidly there. So I work everything towards the front of that back leg, and then I try to leave that crispy line. Now, stretching the dog's neck forward, I can look over the head and use a curved scissor to work into the middle of the neck. And then I reverse the curve and point the point towards the withers so I can start to work that transition area down. Combing everything on the back of the neck up and then straight up from the withers so that you can build up and out your crest. Then the top knot was already done, so I'm just going to use a curved scissor after combing everything back to connect the top knot to the head. The top knot to the neck. And there we have it. So if you want to see the top knot or the tail being done, I will put links to other videos so that you guys can check that out.